Stimulus checks sent out immediately if this happens. And yes, this would also include fixed income beneficiaries of Social Security, retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, RRB, low income, and no income. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now this is a great question that was recently brought to my attention just a couple days ago by one of you right here in the community who reached out and asked what would it take for them to approve and send out stimulus checks immediately, just like they did back in early 2020. When I saw the question, I thought about it for a minute and thought, you know what? This is actually a really good question because, believe it or not, there are a few things that could happen right here, right now, which would prompt them to approve and send out stimulus checks very quickly to a lot of people. And that's what I want to focus on here in this video, to let you know what is actually going on and some of the different things that could happen. And realistically, there's a pretty high probability of some of these actually happening. So let's get right into it. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so. And because I am your one and only daily advocate, I'm here for you right by your side every single day, watching all this new information hitting the wire, doing the necessary research, and breaking it all down into these short videos so you can stay updated with what's actually going on, and most importantly, how it's going to impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, your bank account, and of course, anything popping up right now you can possibly grab and or take advantage of. Of course, I want to bring that to your attention right away. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Again, totally free to do so. And always remember, I am here for you in any way that I possibly can be. That's my dedication. That's my commitment. And as always, that is my promise to you and everybody right here in the community. All right, thanks again. Let's get into it and talk about a few different things that are going on right now. And realistically, some of the things that are probably going to happen realistically over the coming months and possibly the next year or so. And any of the following could actually have them approve and send out stimulus checks probably very fast. Now here's the thing. I want to point this out from the very start. Some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm going to be honest with you, some of you here in the community may not care about these at all. However, I still want to point this out because, as I've been talking about for a very long time now, all of this is highly correlated, and when it comes down to it, if any of these cards collapse, it's basically going to take the whole house of cards down with it, okay? So again, we're going to be talking about a variety of different things here in this video, but again, I want to make it very clear that all of these are very important to watch. Even if you don't care that much about some of these different things, we still got to watch it because these could be the catalyst behind additional checks. And as I've said it before, the stimulus checks are not because they want to help us, but rather it's to stimulate the economy, right? So when we look at it from that perspective, we need to think, okay, well, if that's the case, then what are all of these different aspects of the economy that could potentially collapse, issuing additional money, right? We got to watch all this stuff very closely. All right, so number one, I want to point out the real estate market. Now, again, I know a lot of you here in the community probably couldn't care less about the real estate market. That's okay. Here's what we need to watch very closely, though. As a result of the Federal Reserve aggressively raising interest rates, and we know that it's been raising mortgage rates as well, right? So basically the interest rates on mortgages is getting very expensive, right? Therefore, it is pushing a lot of buyers out of the market. Well, as a result of that, when we have a bunch of supply and less demand, as in buyers, what happens then? Well, we know from simple economics that prices must go down, right? Well, that is simple economics, right? It's the supply and demand imbalance, right? There's too much supply, not enough demand, therefore prices must go lower. Well, that is what's going on with the housing market. Again, the real estate market, and depends where you're looking at across the country. Some locations, for example, like, the very expensive areas of California have gone down quite a bit already. There's other areas like Las Vegas and a few other remote locations like Miami, for example. And again, these are just a few locations. New York is another very good one. Some of these very high-priced markets have already come down a lot so far. And according to what I've been reading on this, some of the analysts and experts that are watching this right now are suggesting this is just the start, and we could see a widespread drop of about 20% across the entire real estate market. Now, again, these are just different speculations out there based on what some of the economists are saying. But again, remember, I want to point this out really fast here, and then we'll move on to the next topic, which is what took down the market and what caused the huge recession that we saw back in 2008 and early 2009. Yeah, it was the whole mortgage situation, and it was the whole real estate market, right? That is what caused all this, right? So basically what was happening back in the day, That was about, what was that, about 14, 15 years ago or something like that? The great financial crisis. So basically what happened then, long story short, is that banks were giving out mortgages to virtually anybody that walked in the door. You could have walked in and say, hey, I want to buy $1 million house. And they'd say, fine, no problem. You got a job? Sure, here's a mortgage. Well, then they realized that, wait, people can't actually afford all these houses. And all of a sudden, all these people started foreclosing and defaulting, and there was a huge, huge crash in the real estate market. And then what happened? It took down a lot of other stuff. Big banks went down, lenders went down, all kinds of stuff. It took down literally the entire economy with it, right? So that's why I want to point this stuff out, is because, like I said before, is it all about us, the people, when it comes down to additional checks going out, or is it about the economy and stimulating the economy? Yep, you're right. It's about stimulating the economy, right? Through us, the people, right? So they use us, the people, the American people, as the proxy to get money into the economy very quickly. Does that kind of make sense? So that's kind of the whole idea behind stimulus checks. So number one is the real estate market. Again, we got to keep an eye on this one because it's a slow-moving market, but when this thing starts moving down, it kind of starts moving down fast, okay? So that's number one. Next is the stock market. And again, I know a lot of you here in the community don't watch the stock market all that closely, and that's okay. You don't need to. However, based on everything that I'm seeing out there right now and everything that I'm researching on this, again, a lot of these top economists, people that are watching all this stuff very closely, are suggesting this market is severely overvalued and we could be looking at massive drops in the market. In fact, I've been seeing a report lately that's suggesting some of these top economists are saying that this market could go down another 43% from current levels. Okay. Fine, but what does that mean for us? Let me say this much as well. If the stock market goes down, let's just say 43% from its current levels, is that going to make people confident to go out and spend money? Or is it going to make people think, I should probably conserve a little bit because I don't know what's going on here. This is kind of scary, right? Well, yeah, exactly. Most people, when the market is going down, are not feeling quite as confident, right? Therefore, as consumers don't spend as much, right? Because we're maybe conserving a little bit more. We're probably, pulling back a little bit. As consumers hold off on some spending, that simply means less money going out into the economy, less money going into businesses and corporations that are spending less money. Therefore, if they're spending less money and having less revenue and profits, they're laying people off and the unemployment rate is going up. You see the cycle here? Again, we've talked about this cycle before, but it's a big old cycle. And the whole idea behind it is, if consumers are spending less money, it's going to translate into a big kind of contraction in the economy because less people are spending money. That means companies are not buying as much inventory. They're not employing as many people. The unemployment rate going higher, right? More people laid off, less people working. It's just a big old cycle that we've talked about so many times. So again, it's another one we got to watch very closely. And again, whether you're invested in the stock market or whether you watch the stock market very closely or not, doesn't really matter. It's one of these metrics we need to watch closely because if the market collapses, guess what happens and guess what follows? Yeah, the economy. In fact, the stock market leads the economy. So if you want to have a leading indicator on the economy, just watch the stock market. The stock market basically tells you what the economy is going to be doing over the coming months. So that's very important to watch very closely as well. Okay. Now, again, I want to point something else out here really quickly. Again, I know this is kind of controversial, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway because we got to throw this out there and we need to remember this. What issued the stimulus checks in the first place back in early 2020? Yeah, COVID did, okay? So again, I know COVID is kind of a controversial topic. Again, I'm not going to go down that road. I don't need to sit here and, bang the table talking about COVID. But the end of the day is COVID is the reason that we got stimulus checks in the first place. Why? Because COVID came in, we didn't really know much about it, and they closed the whole thing down, right? They told us to stay home, they told us to wear our pajamas all day, and they said, here, while you're at it, here's some money, okay? And they gave it to us in the form of stimulus checks, right? Do you remember that? Back in early 2020. That is what was happening, right? It was not only happening here in the United States, but it was happening all across the globe, right? We were told to basically stay home, don't come out, right? Pretty much what they were saying. Unless you're going to work or unless you're going out to get necessities like groceries or something like that, you're pretty much just supposed to stay home. That's basically what we were supposed to do for a couple months there at a time, right? It's about 2 months, give or take a little bit, but it's about what happened. Now again, I want to point this out as well. I'm not doing a ton of research on COVID lately, just being real with you. However, I do see it popping up in the headlines quite a bit as I do my daily research. And again, there's I don't know, how many variants are there now? what, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50? I don't even know how many variants there are anymore. There's a lot of different variants, but according to what I've been reading on this, they've been saying that the most recent variants are maybe a little bit more worrisome than the previous variants. Again, I'm not really sure what to call it, but according to what they're saying is these new variants are possibly a little bit more concerning than the previous variants. And again, I'm not an expert on this, and I don't want to pretend like I'm an expert because I'm not an expert on this topic. However, I do read about it a little bit because at the end of the day, we've got to watch this very closely because as like I said a second ago, COVID is the reason we got stimulus check number 1, we got stimulus check number 2, and because we got stimulus check number 3. It's because the economy was, not doing very well, and what they wanted to do is pump it up. Well, we pumped it up for sure, and we got a lot of inflation as a result of not necessarily the stimulus checks, but all the $6 trillion that were printed during that about a 1-year period of time, okay? So that's very important, and we got to watch that closely. Now again, am I suggesting we're going to go into a lockdown? I'm not saying that at all. I am not suggesting we're going into a lockdown. Am I suggesting that the COVID is going to, this new variants and stuff like this is going to interrupt business and interrupt the economy? I don't know that for sure, but it easily could, okay? If this next variant is more concerning and something that they're worried about, you never know. There might be more restrictions coming in. In fact, I've been seeing a bunch of reports coming out lately saying that they should be implementing mask mandates all across the country. And again, I know that one's very controversial as well. I'm not taking sides on that one, and I'm not going to go down that road because honestly, that's not my place to go, okay? I don't need to be here to tell you what to do. I am not that kind of person. I want to be here to inform you. I'm not here to tell you what to do, okay? I'm not a micromanager, and I never want to be, okay? But at the end of the day, I do want to bring this up because in the event that maybe another variant comes in and possibly interrupts business, interrupts the economy, where maybe some businesses are seeing some restrictions and some, maybe some closures, things like this, limited hours, limited personnel, things like that, is it going to interrupt the economy? Yep. And remember what I said earlier, what prompts stimulus checks? The economy. The economy. It all comes down to the economy. That's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. So when we think back to it, in early 2020, why did we get stimulus checks so fast? In fact, if you don't remember that, back in 2020, from the time that lawmakers started working on the CARES Act, which, by the way, it was a $2.3 trillion package, and that was the one that contained the $1,200 stimulus checks. It also contained the $600 boost to unemployment benefits. It contained all kinds of stuff, a lot of money going out, okay? So from the time that they started working on that bill until it was passed through Congress and signed into law was a very short amount of time. It was like 10 days. It was a very, very short amount of time. From the time they did it, by the time that Congress started working on it until they finally got it done into the president, it was like very, very fast, okay? We almost never see Congress work that fast. However, we were in a situation at that time where we needed fast action, right? We didn't know what was going on, right? We had no clue. So as a result of that, any of these catalysts that I mentioned here in this video and a whole variety of others. And again, I've also seen some headlines coming out recently where some of these economists that are watching everything right now play out, they're suggesting that this economy is holding on by a thread and it's only a matter of time until this thing collapses like an avalanche. Well, you know how avalanches start, right? Well, again, I'm not an expert on avalanches, but here's the thing. All of a sudden, the snow is sitting there totally fine, no big deal, and all of a sudden, one little thing triggers it, and all of a sudden, before you know it, we've got this huge raging wall of snow going down the mountain, right? So, kind of a scary thing, and you definitely do not want to be in the way of that, right? So basically what these economists are saying is any given point right now, we have this economy holding on by a thread, and this thing could collapse like an avalanche at any given point. So if that happens, if we see the economy fall that fast and contract that quickly, do you think they're going to want to do something as in, I don't know, the Federal Reserve reversing, pivoting, starting to lower interest rates, print up a bunch of money? Are we going to see that? Guaranteed, 100% guaranteed. Why do I say that? Because they've done it every single time for the last forever. They do the same thing every time. Why would this time be different? It's not. In fact, we're seeing a bunch of people coming out right now suggesting the Federal Reserve should be printing money right now, okay? They're saying they're making a terrible mistake by doing what they are right now, and they should actually be printing a bunch of money. So we'll see, and it's only a matter of time. I guarantee 100% they will go back to printing money because that's the only way that this economy can actually sustain is by printing money because this economy is way too weak without actually printing money. So anyway, I don't want to drag this video out forever, so I'm probably going to leave it there for now. But again, I could probably make a part 2 to this and come back if I really wanted to, but when it really comes down to it, we basically need something really big to happen really fast to basically contract the economy in a pretty big way. And that could be a huge collapse in the housing market really fast. We could see a huge collapse in the stock market really fast. We could see, like I said, maybe a variant of COVID spread around really fast and possibly interrupt business and the economy. We could see a variety of different things happen that are going to possibly happen really fast. At any given point, what it all comes down to is we've got to watch the economy. If the economy starts to contract or collapse really quickly, guarantee it, they're going to print money. Every single time they do it. So why would this time be different? It's not. It's going to be the same old thing. We're just waiting for it to happen. That's basically all we're doing. It's just a waiting game. A waiting game at this point. We're literally just sitting here knitting our blankets, knitting our scarves, getting ready, twiddling our thumbs, waiting, and all of a sudden it's going to be like, all right, it's game time. Here we go. And it's happening, okay? It's only a matter of time. So anyway, hope this one kind of gives you a better perspective. And for the person who actually asked this question, hope this kind of gives you a better perspective as far as what's going on, what I'm watching right now, and some of the things we need to pay attention to. It all comes down to the economy, the job market, all the different markets that are out there right now, the unemployment rate and things like that. But realistically, the unemployment rate is going to be a byproduct of the economy collapsing, is these businesses are going to start laying off people left and right really, really fast, just like we've seen previously. So anyway, I'll keep you posted as I do get more information, but I hope this gives you a better perspective. And again, all we can really do at this point is just wait. That's really all we can really do is just wait. Unfortunately, I know it's kind of annoying. It's really all we can do is just continue waiting. And of course, as I do get more details, I'll bring it to your attention right away in these short videos. So again, I hope you're doing well. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you again later in the next video. Stay tuned. I will keep you posted with all the new updates, and as I do get this new information, I'm bringing it to you right here in these videos each and every day. So enjoy. I'll catch you again later.